Hello, my name's Joey and welcome back to the channel. That's me trying to convince you that I'm inside the Dalek, but I'm not inside the Dalek. Yes, I look an absolute state. I'm in my pyjamas. I'm wearing a cowboy hat. Why am I wearing a cowboy hat? I'm wearing a cowboy hat because I couldn't be bothered to do my hair. Yes, I very rarely sort my hair out on a day off. Right, so why am I here? My wife and I and Teddy, we've just had a 2-week holiday. And we went to Brighton as part of that. And I've got this old letter from 1896, dated September the 1st. It's September the 1st today. Now, this letter is September the 1st, 1896. We've just said that. But I bought this on September the 2nd, 1996. And it's a bit of a pilgrimage because this letter was sent to somebody's lover from London to Brighton, and it mentions a place to stay in Brighton. So I always like to take this down to the seaside when we go as almost like a pilgrimage to take it back to Brighton. I don't know why, it's something sentimental about that. So I just thought today, as I now know the history of these people that we don't know, we know a little bit about them, but that's it. I thought I'd now kind of push that history outwards into the internet so that, you know, it can become a bit infamous in a sense. So here we go. Here's the letter from 1896. I'm going to read it. It's about 5 pages long. What an art letter writing used to be. It's very interesting. It's on very, very thin paper, and the type, it's hand typed, is blue. Now I don't know if that's black faded to blue, who knows. And it's amazing to think that little paper fastener was put in over 100 years ago. So here we go, without further ado. The address is 59 Bolingbroke Grove, Wandsworth Common, September the 1st, 1896. My dearest Edie. So Edie is the woman who this person is writing to. My dearest Edie, the letter which I have been so anxiously waiting for has at long length arrived, and it is an absolute relief to be able to sit down and pour out my woes and troubles into your sympathetic ear, and to tell you how everything has seemed to go so wrong since you ran away and deserted me. ... I promised I would write a long letter, and I expect if I once get fairly on the job, I shall have filled up several sheets of paper. So I should advise you, unless you want to be kept in all the morning, to put this letter in your pocket. Defer reading it until you get on the beach, Brighton Beach. And look how it's been folded. It's been folded up in a pocket, which I think is very cool. Folded up in a pocket over 100 years ago. So, Edie, deter reading this until the beach. I am extremely sorry you have been so unfortunate with your apartments, and it fairly worries me to think you are not comfortable. I did not know exactly where the street was, and I thought an idea it was inland, but as I thought perhaps you had been recommended to go there, I did not try and dissuade you. If you still find you are not comfortable, I should advise you to change your diggings the second week. That is, of course, if you are not hired the rooms for the fortnight. If you have not hired the rooms for the fortnight. If you should think of changing, why don't you try Flo's place, as I'm certain you would be nice and comfortable there. The address is Miss Tebbs, Newburgh Hall, Cannon Place, Brighton. Cannon Place is the road between the Metropolis. Oh, the Cannon Road is the road between the Metropole and the Grand Hotels. Wow. Well, the Grand Hotels is still there, but I think Mrs. Tebbs is now a car park, sadly. I should have put my glasses on, which is why I'm going like this. As I expected, your letter did not reach me till Monday night, though while I was having a breakfast in... Rubbish. As I expected, your letter did not reach me until Monday night, though while I was having breakfast in the morning, the postman knocked, and Dad called out, "Here's a letter for you, Jack." I sprung up from the table as if I had received a shock, nearly upsetting the whole show, and flew upstairs to get what I imagined was the eagerly expected letter from you. Judge of my surprise, disgust, indignation, etc., on finding out it was only a beastly common or garden circular about my blooming chess club. Words would absolutely fail to describe my feelings, and if that beautiful chess club was in the place I wished it to, it wouldn't complain of the cold. Say that again. Words would absolutely fail to describe my feelings, and if that beautiful chess club was in the place I wished it to, it would not complain of the cold. Maybe he decided to, I don't know. Anyway, this is over 100 years ago. You might know out there. You probably do. However, I am perfectly content now I have your letter safely in my possession, and my spirits, which had dropped about as low as they conveniently could, soon began to rapidly rise. It was not perhaps as long as it could have been desired, but please do not for a moment think I am grumbling, as the artless tokens of affection which were displayed here and there aptly compensated for my lack of length. It was very gratifying to hear that you missed me, as I drew the conclusion from that you care for me a little. Oh dear, poor man. I do not know whether you miss me as much as I did when I was away, but I trust you do not, as I feel awfully lonely at times. When it came to the actual moment of leaving you on Friday last, I did not like it a little bit, and walking down Alderbrook Road, I seemed to be seized with an irresistible impulse to run back after you, but my wiser counsels prevailed, and I managed to keep from making an ass of myself. Crikey. He didn't write crikey. All Saturday morning my mind was wandering Ballamwoods, and about 10 o'clock I thought, now I bet young Edie has worked up a glorious excitement, and I pictured to myself 3 girls flying frantically up and down the platform, loaded with luggage, and worrying the poor porters of their chumps by asking whether every train that came in was for Brighton, and finally flopping into the right carriage, depositing the luggage all over the shop, to the discomfiture of the other passengers. I remember the last time Teddy and I went to Brighton. Didn't know that. A lady and gentleman got in at London Bridge and shoved their portmanteau on the rack opposite them, and just balancing over an old gentleman's head. Directly the train started, there was a violent jerk, and the portmanteau came down with a run, almost tearing off the brim of the vulnerable old gentleman's hat. I hope you girls didn't pile your luggage up in a similar fashion and meet with the same experience. I do not know why, but when I hear of girls going for their holidays, a hazy vision floats before me of piles of portmanteaux, I can't say that, bonnet boxes, startlingly coloured parasols, wraps, etc., etc. Some of the fair owners rushing about, excitingly looking for the office, while others are mainly endeavouring to keep the 1,001 parcels together. I do not for one moment wish to insinuate that you acted like this, for I know what a cool, collected, and never get excited lot of girls you are. Really? And I expect you went off as unconcerned. I expect you went off with an unconcerned an air as if going about to business. Crikey, this is long. I'm wearing the cowboy hat because I've never worn this out. I just want to see what it looks like. I can't see it now, but yeah. It did seem strange at the cricket last Saturday without you, as there was Flo and Harry, Wall and Jess, and Will and Lottie, while poor I was left entirely in the cold. The inevitable result also happened through your being absent, and I could only make 5 runs. Your presence seemed to have an influence on my playing, for when you are away I get careless and play in a don't care ahem sort of fashion, whereas I know your eyes are on me and I play for all I'm worth and endeavour to get some runs. However, I had some consolation in taking 3 or 4 wickets. In the evening, Fred asked me to call for him as he wished to buy some chemicals. Interesting. He wanted to go to the junction, but I preferred to go to Balham as it is a far sweeter associations for me than the junction. So I got my so I got my way by telling him they were only to be sorry. It's 100 years, over 100 years old language. So I got my way by telling him they were only to be got at Park's drugstores in Balham. Oh, you conned him into going, cheeky. You lied. When he had finished the shopping, we strolled across Wandsworth Common to the fete and gala, where we ran across Jack Johnston. Mr. Jack is a trifle too thick for me, and every time I go out with him, something extraordinary is sure to happen. He happened to see a fight going on in a corner of the field and immediately dragged me right into the middle of it. The fight at first was only between two men, but some fellows happening to interfere, and it developed into a free fight, everybody going for the nearest one to him. As Jack and I were in the centre, you can reckon we had a pretty warm time of it, and it was a rare job to get out of it. But I am greatly relieved when I did get out of it to find I had come off with only a punch in the ribs and a slight kick on the foot. Old Jack was in his glory. Old Jack, eh? Old Jack was in his glory, punching at everybody and wanted to go back. But I, who am more peacefully inclined, preferred a less violent form of amusement and wasn't having any of it. And I must confess I felt considerably more secure when on the outside of that field. I'd imagine so. I told Jack it was the last time I went out with him, and his company was a little too wildly exciting for me. I was pleased to hear you like Brighton, and I do hope your holiday will not be spoilt on account of your diggings. I was also glad to hear like the West Pier. I was also glad to hear you liked the West Pier, which the West Pier is now sadly no more. Closed in 1972/1979. Collapsed in 2003, burnt down in 2003. I've never been on the West Pier, but it always fascinated me as a child. I always wanted to go on there. So anyway, over 100 years ago, you could go there. So, I do hope your holiday will not be spoilt by the account of your diggings. I was also glad to hear you liked the West Pier, and I expect you three girls made things hum a bit on there. I suppose the fascinating charms of the divine Amy had the usual effect upon the Johnnies, and the conquests were innumerable that night. The divine Amy. The conquests were innumerable that night. Amy got about, didn't she? I do not mind her tactics, however, so as long as she does not drag you into it. I do not mean I should be jealous of your speaking to a fellow or two, and it would be ridiculous and unreasonable to expect it, for it seems only natural when at the seaside to indulge in a little harmless flirtation. But what I object to is the wholesome plan of which it pleases Amy to work. I have not the slightest fear for you, and I trust you too much, and I feel confident that when you come back you will still have a corner in your heart for me in spite of it all. Quite sad, isn't it, really, this? Pardon me. I'm inclined to... I didn't hold my hand over my mouth, sorry. There's only a Dalek here. I am inclined to think you believe I do not trust you a little bit. But I do, Edie. And the more I know you, the more positive I am in my trust is not misplaced. On Sunday morning, I went for a long ride as far as Reigate Hill, from the summit to which it's possible to see the Downs of Brighton. Wow. And I felt strongly tempted to keep on. Surely must be going. To keep on instead of turning back. I could not fancy sitting in church in the evening without you by my side, so I went for a walk with Fred instead, getting home before 10 o'clock, and last night Will and Lottie came in, so I stayed at home. You will therefore see that, barring Saturday, I've been keeping very quiet and good. I am eagerly looking forward to next Saturday. I find I shall be unable to come on Friday night, as my governor went away unexpectedly last night, and it would not be safe to take the day off without his permission. Still, I will catch the 2 o'clock train and hope to be with you by 3:15. I shall be excited at the thought of seeing you again, and that you must not be surprised if I throw my arms around your neck on the platform. I made my mind not to take any luggage, but just come down in my blue serge and straw hat. And I shall then feel more free and easy, and we can knock about on the beach together on Sunday. That is, of course, if you will put up with my old clothes. I tell you, I mean to have a ripping jolly time along with you, and it makes my mouth water to think that in 4 short days I shall perhaps be walking along the shore with you. I feel so excited at the high time in store for me in my imagination. I can almost smell the sea breeze and hear the waves breaking on the shingle, and I give you my word, it requires a very fertile imagination to fancy that men you are slavering away for your daily bread. Let's read that again, because my eyes are bloody terrible. I give you my word, it requires a very fertile imagination to fancy that when you are slaving away for your daily bread in a smoky office in the city from morning till night. Poor fellow, says you. I am glad to see from the papers that you are having fairly decent weather, for as one of my fellow clerks mentioned to me a little time back, it is deemed filthy here, but that is one of Brighton's advantages. It is nearly always fine. I hope that Hetty is beginning to feel the benefits of the change of air, and it's better than when she went away. I expect it is a waste of time asking whether you are all right, as you always seem to be cheeky and well. When I get out of the train next Saturday, I shall look around for a peaky little brown face. I suppose it's not asking too much for me to have another letter before I come down, and then I will write again telling you where to meet, etc., or perhaps you can suggest a convenient meeting place. My God, it's only going to be a few days' time, and they're already going to be writing another letter to each other and receiving another letter. No texting, no phone calls. No, I suppose not. Definitely not texting. Very likely not phone calls as well. Now, I don't think I will inflict upon you the torture of having to read any more of this, nor will I. Not because it's, well, I'm probably reading it boring. I don't think the history is boring, but well done if you're still sticking there. Now, I don't think I will inflict upon you the torture of having to read any more of this, but have mercy on you and finish. Hoping you will have a jolly time, and with the kindest regards to the other girls and fondest love to your own dear self, I remain your affectionate Arthur. Well, there we are. Over 100 years ago, Arthur sent that to the dearest Edie in Brighton. It's always been folded up because the outside is very dirty. This cost me £10 from a boot sale on the 2nd of September 1996, and it's a September the 1st 1896, and it's September the 1st 2024 today. So there we go. That's putting that piece of history out there into history. So without further ado, thank you for watching. Take care. See you soon.